Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 bringing to you a brand new awesome yet crazy theory, and I've decided to put together a brand new theory video involving one of Spider-Man's most consistent enemies from his rogues gallery, but he has never really come up much in conversation when you're talking about Spider-Man's most iconic villains, and that's the Hobgoblin. And the Hobgoblin to some people has always been considered to be nothing more than a Green Goblin 2.0, but to me the Hobgoblin is very different to the Green Goblin, because unlike the Green Goblin, Hobgoblin cares about petty things like money, wealth, jewelry, paintings, and just basically making enough money to just do what he likes. And the Green Goblin, on the other hand, has always been about making Spider-Man's life a living hell, whereas the Hobgoblin, he's all about wanting to be in charge and wanting to be in control. And although he does have a lot of the same sort of weapons and style of the Green Goblin, the Hobgoblin is very much his own type of villain and consistently just likes to do things his own way. The Hobgoblin made his debut in Amazing Spider-Man issue 238 in 1983 and has always remained a thorn in Spider-Man's side, and has constantly popped up on and off every so often over the years to try and make Spider-Man's life a living hell. And ever since the character's inception, several people have assumed the persona of the Hobgoblin. Characters such as Roderick Kingsley, Arnold Donovan, Jason Macendale, Daniel Kingsley, Phil Orich, Harry Osborn, and at one point his father, Norman Osborn, also donned the persona of the Hobgoblin, and of course Ned Leeds. And for today's theory video, this is going to be my theory on how Ned Leeds could become the Hobgoblin in the MCU. Since his introduction in Spider-Man Homecoming, Ned Leeds has been portrayed as the Harry Osborn of the MCU and has been Peter Parker's best friend and at times like a brother to him, and has always stuck by him through all the good and the bad situations that Peter Parker has experienced, and at times has been on a mission to protect Spider-Man's secret identity, even though there were rare moments that Ned Leeds almost gave Spider-Man's identity away. But to a lot of hardcore fans who are very familiar with the history of the Ned Leeds character, everybody knows that at some point down the road, Ned Leeds will eventually switch to the dark side and become the Hobgoblin. Now the big question is, how will that happen? How will Ned Leeds become the Hobgoblin? Now obviously Ned Leeds in the MCU, he's a very happy-go-lucky guy, very positive, and wants to be there for Peter Parker no matter what. But how do we make Ned Leeds become the Hobgoblin? Now this will be where my theory comes into play. Now I would have Ned Leeds become the Hobgoblin maybe towards the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. So obviously we have heard rumours that the Green Goblin is going to be making an appearance of sorts. So I would have Spider-Man and the Green Goblin going at it inside Oscorp, and Ned Leeds is somewhere in the background hiding and trying to protect himself while Spider-Man tries to deal with the Green Goblin. Now obviously the Green Goblin could possibly be part of the Sinister Six, or he could be on his own from another Earth, who knows. But there could be an explosion, Oscorp collapses, and Ned Leeds somehow gets buried in rubble and the debris, and there could be a gas leak. Now the gas leak could be from Oscorp chemicals, which could be the same chemicals that Norman Osborn breathed in that made him become the Green Goblin. So what you could have is, after Oscorp collapses, Green Goblin is dealt with and sent back to wherever he came from, and Spider-Man is constantly trying to look for Ned Leeds but can't find his body, and he thinks he's dead. But what could also happen is Ned Leeds, during the explosion and gas leak, he could breathe in all of the fumes and the chemicals and basically just go mad and become the Hobgoblin. And he could blame Spider-Man for not trying to save him. Now we've heard this story before, but I think this could actually work because for the most part Ned Leeds has always been in the shadow of Peter Parker in his mind. So maybe if they decide to do a fourth installment in the MCU, maybe you could have the Hobgoblin as the main villain, but Spider-Man, of course, doesn't know that it's actually Ned Leeds. So Ned Leeds, in the Hobgoblin persona, could just basically target everybody that's close to Peter Parker in the hopes of bringing him out, and could possibly just blame him for saying that I've protected you your whole life ever since you told me that you were Spider-Man, and the one time that I actually needed you to save me, you just left me. And Spider-Man could say, well, I didn't know, I searched everywhere for you, I couldn't find you, I actually thought you were dead. So you could have that the chemicals and the gas that Ned Leeds breathed in and was exposed to could just corrupt his mind, and he could just basically become a nightmare version of the Green Goblin, but in a different way. And also this could play into another story as well, because we all know that we've seen pictures of Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned Leeds in the MCU, who has lost a lot of weight and got himself into fantastic shape. So maybe there's a possibility that the weight loss could play a big part in the story, because bear in mind that maybe after Ned Leeds breathes in the gas and is exposed to the chemicals, maybe that could do something to his DNA, that maybe loses all that weight and makes him get really lean and muscular. So that's another possibility as well, and maybe that could put him on the path to becoming the Hobgoblin. Or maybe he could have just lost all the weight while Peter Parker has been on the run from the law. So there's a number of ways they could go with Ned Leeds embarking onto the dark side. But that's my theory on how I think Ned Leeds could become the Hobgoblin in the MCU, maybe during a fight with Spider-Man and the Green Goblin in Oscorp. Ned Leeds is exposed to the same chemicals that Norman Osborn was exposed to, and that could just drive Ned Leeds into madness. So who knows really, but maybe it could be started from some early frustrations with Ned Leeds constantly trying to protect Spider-Man's secret identity while he's on the run. So as I said, there's a number of ways they could go, but that's something I would like to see. So there you have it, guys. That's my theory on how Ned Leeds could become the Hobgoblin in the MCU. Now obviously we don't know whether or not that's going to happen in Spider-Man Far From Home, but if it does, I think it could be great, and I think it could definitely work. So there you have it, guys. What do you think? Is this how you would make Ned Leeds become the Hobgoblin, or would you go with a different person to take on the persona of the Hobgoblin? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time. So until then, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.